might be able to participate later even if they don't get in on the first day. PYD co-president Salah Muslim was among the delegations sent to Geneva, and while the group was carefully placed, Turkey's refusal to allow any Kurds at the talks, along with resistance from other rebel factions who insist the Kurds focus on fighting the Islamic State, means they aren't proper rebels, ultimately kept them out of the talks, which means the first round will be between the Syrian government and a coalition representing a handful of mostly trivial rebel factions. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports attorneys for the Chicago police officer accused in the shooting death of a 17-year-old are asking for the trial to be moved to a different location. Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's attorney, Daniel Herbert, said his client is receiving death threats as well as threats to his family after his charge was announced in the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. Herbert said it may be impossible to successfully assemble an unbiased jury after Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel publicly condemned the officer. According to USA Today, Herbert said, "We think that at the end of the day we're going to present some very compelling evidence to demonstrate that it's impossible for my client to get a fair trial in this case." The victim's great-uncle, Reverend Martin Hunter, and other activists reportedly worry that Van Dyke would manage to easily be cleared of the charges if the trial took place in Cook County. According to Fox 32, Hunter said, "We feel like the entire Cook County criminal justice system needs to be overhauled and investigated." Earlier this month, the Chicago Police Department released dashcam footage of the October 2014 shooting of McDonald, who was shot 16 times. Van Dyke has pled not guilty to first-degree murder. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the FBI negotiated further with 4 occupants at a remote federal wildlife refuge in Oregon on Saturday, while the holdouts in a video posted online expressed their mistrust of the government and reluctance to leave. One of the 4 protesters remaining at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge said in a darkly lit video posted on Friday that he wanted to be assured that he would not be arrested if he attempted to leave. Others with him expressed similar resolve. Tensions in the standoff remained high 4 days after Robert Lavoie Finicum, a spokesman for the group that seized buildings at the refuge on January 2nd, was killed by police at a roadblock where occupation leader Eamon Bundy and several other protesters were arrested. FBI spokeswoman Beth Ann Still said negotiations are ongoing, declining to give details on the talks or comment on the video showing Finicum's death. Bundy has issued messages through his attorney urging those remaining at the refuge to stand down and saying that he would continue the fight through the courts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Despite a long-held consensus pointing to the mid-20s as the final stage of brain maturation, a new study has found that the adolescent brain doesn't fully form until boys have avenged their father's murder.
New imaging studies suggest that the frontal cortex goes through extensive changes during the period of training when an adolescent boy prepares himself to track down and kill the man who took his father's life. But it's not until the boy stares deep into the murderer's eyes and then stabs him right in the heart that the 2 lobes fuse into a fully mature brain.
According to Dr. Laurie's findings, the myelin surrounding the teenage nerve synapses develops when boys stake out the home of their father's murderer, put themselves through grueling physical training, and fantasize again and again about how satisfying it will be when he finally makes the bastard who took everything from him beg for his life.
Now, if they let their father's killer slip through their grasp, or if they press the barrel of a gun to the back of his head and then realize they don't have what it takes to pull the trigger, then the amygdala is definitively stunted, and they'll have lifelong problems interpreting emotional information.
This is the Onion News Network.
Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition. We have time for you. If you want to join us, you can bring up anything that happens to be on your mind. We'll give you our toll-free numbers and Skype username here in moments. Also, an update on the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. What is the latest out there? The YouTube channel that had been streaming on a relatively frequent basis over the last week, Defend Your Base is what it's called, has not had a fresh video in 22 hours. So an unusual amount of time for silence in this particular case. Normally the channel's sort of on and off. They transmit a few times a day, updates on what's going on.
You'd think if the state agents had grabbed them that we'd get some kind of, hey,
that they'd be crowing about it?
Yeah, they're in custody now.
You would think. But so far, there's no information. We'll give you updates as they are delivered, and there's some information on why people can't reach them, or perhaps why the folks there can't be reached by phone at this point. And our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You're welcome to comment on that. That's 855-450-3733. But we're going to actually start with a special guest here tonight. We don't normally have guests on Free Talk Live. It is an open phones show, so you can call in about anything. But every now and then we'll bring somebody in here to talk about something that you or I, Mark, think is pretty important. And I think Bitcoin is pretty darn important. So we've got Roger Veer on the line with us here via Skype. Hey, Roger.
Hey, guys. Always great to be with you, and welcome back, Mark.
Thank you very much, Roger.
Yeah, you're actually an hour ahead of us right now in St. Kitts, where we are talking to you on Skype. So
tell me how the future is, Roger.
It's about 1 hour better than it was an hour ago.
So here we are, 7 years into...
If you can tell me what the Bitcoin price is in an hour, I can make some money.
Yeah, couldn't we all?
So we're 7 years now into Bitcoin. This thing started back in 2009, I believe early 2009. So it's been an amazing 7 years. The price of Bitcoin has been, floating at around $370, $380, somewhere in that range, I think. Today
yeah.
$380 per U.S. dollars per Bitcoin. And, Roger, you were one of the earliest adopters of Bitcoin. People have called you Bitcoin Jesus because you're very good at sort of proselytizing the good word of Bitcoin. So for our listeners that are, let's say, new to the concept, as many of them might be, how do you boil down Bitcoin? What is the elevator pitch to somebody who might ask, what is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is the first time in the entire history of the world in which anyone can now send and receive any amount of money with anyone, anywhere else, instantly, basically for free, although there's a little bit of a discussion going on there. It's slightly more expensive than it used to be, but it's still pretty darn close to free. And there's absolutely nothing that anybody can do to stop it. So it works for anyone in any country, regardless of where they were born, what color their skin is, what color their passport is. Like, it doesn't matter. Anyone can use it anywhere. And one of the best reasons that I'm sure your listeners have been hearing about it over and over is that you can save 10, 20, 30% just by using Bitcoin at saveitpurse.com.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason for non-philosophically motivated people to use Bitcoin.
Right.
But there's lots of wonderful reasons for people that are excited about smaller government and people having more control over their personal lives to use Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, anything that takes power out of the hands of the state or the bankers in this case. State and the bankers have no control over Bitcoin, and that's frustrating to some of the states out there. So that's why New York, for instance, passed Bitcoin regulations, or I guess it was in 2015 when those went into effect, and basically killed off a lot of Bitcoin businesses there in New York. But thankfully, most places haven't done that. And even if the regulations are passed, that doesn't stop people from using Bitcoin because the government can't stop Bitcoin. All they could really do was target like the big businesses that were trying to operate in New York State because it's easy to go after a central authority. And, of course, government's good at doing that. But Bitcoin has no central authority, does it, Roger?
No, there isn't any central authority, and that's what makes it so exciting. So if PayPal starts allowing people to, buy and sell marijuana online with PayPal, the place to complain to. And the only way to stop Bitcoin would be to shut down the entire internet in the entire world and keep it turned off. And that's not really an option. So it makes Bitcoin really, really exciting from that perspective, and that there is no one in control. So everyone's simply in control of their own Bitcoins. And it's a really, really exciting world-changing technology because of that.
Yeah, so we are the world monetary system is basically controlled by a very small amount of people, and what they're able to do is they're able to control humanity because of their control of the monetary system, and that means they effectively operate as a monopoly, and monopolies tend to provide bad customer service. They tend to provide high pricing, and that's what we see in the area of money conveyance. We see high country and you want to send some money back home to another country, it's extraordinarily expensive.
It sure is, but Bitcoin makes it easy.
Yeah, it does. Now, there is, well, when you say there's no centralization, that's a true statement. But there are head programmers. There are people a small group of people who are the most active with programming Bitcoin, because it's a program and it can be upgraded over time, made better, and it has been. But as of the last year or two, I don't know how long this debate's been going on, but there's been a debate within the Bitcoin community, and specifically within the head programmers of Bitcoin, which is a group that's, I believe, as small as 4 or 5 people, that they can't agree on the future direction of Bitcoin. And it's important to try to make this concept as understandable to a general audience as possible. You've got this decentralized currency that essentially can be changed by the programmers if they all agree on it, but in this case they don't agree. And so what seems to be happening is what's called a hard fork, where some of the programmers are saying, well, we think it should go this direction, and the other programmers are saying, well, no, we think we should stay the way it's going. But the people who want to change the direction of the programming of Bitcoin, basically what they have to do, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Roger, is they have to sort of release their own Bitcoin software and then try to make it popular enough to where the supermajority of Bitcoin users or Bitcoin miners are using that. And then ultimately that would result in what's called a hard fork, where the Bitcoin community would then go and the software would go in the direction of the majority of the people. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty close. Although it's a really, really tall order and really, really difficult to do, because most of the people that were involved in Bitcoin early on and the influential people are, libertarian voluntarists. Maybe even use the word anarchist types there in the good sense. But it's like herding cats. How do you get all these rugged individualists to all agree to what the changes should be? So it's been an ongoing debate on the internet for several years now. But at the same time, the only reason this is even a debate is Bitcoin's kind of a bit of a victim of its own success at this point. So Bitcoin's been around a little over 7 years. Around 6.5 years ago, so when Bitcoin was less than a year old, people realized that one potential attack vector for bad people to do bad things to Bitcoin would be to have blocks that are just giant in size and fill up the blockchain in that size. So in the beginning, there was no limit to the size of each block, and then as a way to avoid that attack from being an attack vector, they put what was supposed to be a temporary limit of 1 megabyte per block. And then now that
these blocks, for listeners that don't know what that is, a block what is that exactly?
Sure. So what makes Bitcoin work and why it's censorship resistant and no one can control it is Bitcoin has a ledger, and that ledger keeps track of exactly who has what Bitcoin and every transaction that's ever happened in the entire history of Bitcoin. And just like PayPal has that sort of thing with their accounts, but PayPal's ledger is on their servers, in their office, in their data center, in maybe Silicon Valley or something like that. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin's ledger is called the blockchain. But instead of that ledger being on one computer in one data center somewhere with maybe 1 or 2 offsite backups, that ledger is on everybody's computer around the entire planet that's running the Bitcoin software. So it's on tens of thousands of computers around the world. And all those computers that have a copy of this ledger called the blockchain update that ledger in sync with each other on average once every 10 minutes. And each additional update to that ledger is 1 megabyte in size, is the maximum size of the update. Whereas at this point now, there's so many people using Bitcoin around the world that just about every update is about 1 full megabyte. So if more than that, more people start to use it, and there's more than 1 megabyte's worth of transactions every 10 minutes, that creates a problem. How do we store all those
transactions? It creates kind of a backup, a queue,
right,
if you will.
Right. So now that's what everybody's been debating for the last couple of years on the internet is, should we raise 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes or 10 megabytes or 20 megabytes, or what should we do in the future in regards to that?
Yeah, I've wondered the same thing.
Well, stand by, Roger. Can you stick with us for another segment to discuss Bitcoin?
Absolutely.
Roger Ver is here with us, and you can join us if you maybe got a question for Roger. I'm sure he'll be happy to take your calls. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What's the split all about? We'll find out.
Are you thinking about your Medicare benefits right now? So the wrong choice could cost you thousands of dollars in out-of-pocket costs. At Health Markets, we can help you find a plan to minimize those costs with one free phone call. You could spend hours doing all the research yourself, or our licensed agents can do it for you for free. Call Health Markets now for free help.
800-978-4818. 800-978-4818. 800-978-4818.
Chronic inflammation is now known to block your ability to repair and compromises your immune system, making you more vulnerable to all diseases. Since poor diet, injuries, or stress are all contributing factors, many people suffer from inflammation, utilize free radicals, and thus stop inflammation.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm 44 years old. For 10 years, I had been suffering from chronic pain in my abdomen and groin that radiated down into my feet. After 3 weeks on One World Way, the pain in my feet reduced by 50%, and the overall pain in my body reduced significantly as well. I ran out of One World Way, and the pain returned. I got another container, and again, after 3 weeks, the pain reduced significantly throughout my body. I'd highly recommend One World Way to anyone dealing with chronic pain due to inflammation.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll have them. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Talk Live, dial toll free here to join us. Maybe you've got a question for Roger Veer, aka Bitcoin Jesus. He's on the line with us right now to discuss the latest controversy within the Bitcoin community, specifically over the future of the Bitcoin software that sort of powers it all and makes it all possible. We're going to continue with that. And if you've got a question for him, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Roger mentioned saveitpurse.com. And it was Roger who turned me on to Purse about a year ago. I tried them out, was blown away by them, and then they actually approached us and asked if we wanted to partner up with some promotional stuff. So we came up with saveitpurse.com. It's a website that you can go through, and then when you do that, Free Talk Live gets a very small portion of your future purchases. And what it allows you to do is to spend Bitcoin through saveitpurse.com on your Amazon purchases. And you can save up to 50% off. No kidding. I just recently, in my last 2 transactions, I went for 50% off, and I got it. Just ordered a couple of USB cables, like decent quality USB cables that normally would be $7 or whatever, half off with saveitpurse.com. Now, Purse does take a fee, so it really comes out to more like 35% off. But even so, 20, 30, 35%, that's a huge discount. Huge off of what Amazon already has as decent prices. So if you want to get started with that, go to saveitpurse.com. Now, if you're totally new to Bitcoin, then you need to start at Bitcoin.com, and that's some of the work that Roger's been doing has been bringing Bitcoin to people and helping them understand it. And Bitcoin.com is a great starting point to really kind of learn about Bitcoin, get the basics, get a Bitcoin wallet, which is free. Anyone can get a Bitcoin wallet like right now. You don't have to jump through some sort of application hoops. And Roger's back on with us here from St. Kitts. Roger, welcome back.
Well, glad to be back. And thank you guys for turning me on to Bitcoin. So I'm glad I told you about saveitfirst.com, but you guys are the ones who told me about Bitcoin. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you caught the vision, unlike Mark and I. We were just reporting on it. But, man, you really caught the value of what Bitcoin really could mean to the world as this decentralized currency that can empower the individual and get their money out of the hands of the state and out of the hands of these big banks that historically in our lifetimes and previous generations' lifetimes have, it's the state and the banks that have controlled money. And I don't know if it was Rothschild, I think it was, who said that, he who controls the money controls everything. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that. And he's right. I mean, if the state and the banks are controlling money, then we are at their mercy. But if the people are controlling the money, and that's what Bitcoin allows them to do, then that completely changes the game, doesn't it?
It sure does, and we're seeing it happening right before our eyes all over the world.
Now, folks can go to Bitcoin.com to get started, but what we were talking about before was the split within the Bitcoin community, specifically in the programming, because there's these programmers who work a lot on Bitcoin, and they can't come to an agreement on how large something called the block size is. And you were explaining the blockchain, which is this distributed, decentralized ledger of all of the transactions that have ever happened on Bitcoin from the very beginning. Each person who's a miner, each person who's running a full node on their computer, they have all of this data, and it's something like, 20 gigs or something close to that at the moment. And so the disagreement is over the size of these blocks that are supposed to go onto the blockchain, and that has a bunch of the transactions listed in them. And you're saying that right now the Bitcoin network is sort of maxed out at this 1 megabyte limit that the old software has had. And some people are saying it needs to go up to 2 megs. Others are saying it needs to go higher. And some are saying, no, it needs to stay right where it is. Where are you weighing in on this, Roger, and why?
So just to give people a little bit of an idea about my background and maybe why I think this. So before Bitcoin, I spent the last 15 plus years selling computer components, specifically computer memory. And I remember when I first got started selling memory, I was selling 8 megabyte, not gigabyte, 8 megabyte memory modules. And I was selling them for $650 each. And today they're literally garbage. You have to pay someone to take away 8 megabyte memory modules. So there's lots and lots of people that are thinking, oh my God, the Bitcoin blockchain is going to be too big and there's not going to be enough room to store it. And nobody's going to want to have it on their computer. But, if you're over the age of, 20, just think back a few years ago when you were a kid and think about what size was your first hard drive in your computer. Mm-hmm. And whereas today for, $150, you could buy a 6 terabyte hard drive. And if you use saveitpurse.com, you can get that same one for $100. So 6 terabytes, that's 6,000 gigabytes. That's 600,000 megabytes, right? That's just a gigantic number, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just saw in the news recently that a 10 terabyte drive is now available on the market. So I think these people that are worried that increasing the block size from 1 megabyte every 10 minutes to 2 megabytes every 10 minutes, I think it's just an irrational fear. Computers are getting better, storage is getting bigger, and everything's getting cheaper all the time. So I don't think it's any sort of problem whatsoever.
So you're saying the 10 megabyte limit, or are you saying no limit at all?
It can certainly be a heck of a lot bigger than the 1 megabyte that it is at the moment. And there's lots of other technologies that are really cool and really useful to help cram even more transactions into each one. Technologies will be able to hold 10 times as much as 1 megabyte. So
my understanding is you've thrown your weight behind something new that hasn't yet been released called Bitcoin Classic, that is proposing a 2 megabyte block limit. You were behind Bitcoin XT. These are these different versions of Bitcoin that are sort of competing to be the future of Bitcoin. Bitcoin XT, I believe, was proposing an 8 megabyte limit, but you've walked away from that, and so has others. What's happened there?
So there's a whole bunch of arguing and infighting within the Bitcoin community as to what the best way to scale Bitcoin to allow more people to use it. And to be clear, I'm on the side of whatever technologies work best to let more people around the world use Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And I think there's lots and lots of different things that can help with that. But one really super easy, low hanging piece of fruit in that respect is to just increase the size of the blocks every 10 minutes from 1 megabyte. And the reason people are advocating 2 megabytes now is because we're hoping that shouldn't be contentious. 2 megabytes, the average web page is bigger than 2 megabytes today.
Yeah, 2 megabytes is nothing.
Be a problem, and I think we have the majority of the community on board with that. But there's a few very vocal people that, and there's even some people, if you believe it or not, they claim that 1 megabyte per block is too big, and that should be decreased.
What is it that now? I remember the old there was this software called Bitcoin XT that had been released by one of the original programmers of Bitcoin. Gavin Andreessen was behind this. And I'm running it right now on my computer. The idea was that there needed to be 75% of the Bitcoin miners that had to switch to this new Bitcoin Classic that has yet to be released. What will the percentage? Is it still 75%? Do you need to get that many people on board with it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to the mining power there. So I believe it's 75% is the threshold for that one as well. But I'm still running Bitcoin XT on my laptop because Bitcoin Classic isn't really out yet.
Right.
But I know recently on the air you read about one of the Bitcoin core developers who basically got fed up with all the arguing and censorship and this and that and called it quits and went to work for some banks. That's the main guy that was behind Bitcoin XT as well. And very, very smart guy. We're sorry to see him leave.
What do you think about what he said? I mean, he said that Bitcoin's done for.
Every single other person who's ever said that has been wrong, and he's wrong too.
Okay.
So,
I
like
him.
He's a smart guy, but he's wrong on that.
He's a jaded programmer.
But I share his frustration with specifically the censorship that's been going on in regards to anybody that's even proposing raising the block size limit. There's one particular person who's been around Bitcoin for a long, long time.
Hold that thought, Roger. If you want to stick with us, you're welcome to. Roger Veer's with us. If you've got a question, 855-450-FREE.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online, and I found it. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, a brand new piece ever. Just go sign up, then load your stuff to sell. I love this site, buysellmakeoffer.com. Got it? Buy, sell, makeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. You're just going to have to wait on hold, and we'll get to you once we wrap up with Roger, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus. He's on with us from St. Kitts. And, Roger, we've been discussing the blockchain or the block size debate. You're saying there's censorship going on within the Bitcoin community. There's one person in particular who – is this one of the core developers who is censoring people? I don't know who you're talking about.
No, he's not a core developer, but one of the really disappointing things is that he's been censoring anybody speaking out in favor of things that maybe are not in line with what a certain segment of the core developers are in favor of. And so the core developers have been rather quiet in their disapproval of the censorship, and I would really like to see them come out much more forcefully.
In charge, I mean, obviously the internet's a big place. This guy can't be in charge of every Bitcoin website. So where does this person have dominion over that are these areas of censorship that people should be aware of?
Yeah, on Reddit, there's two main competing discussion forums, which are r/Bitcoin, and everything is censored over there at this point, unless it's something that he approves of. Mm-hmm. But the most popular forum.
You can go to learn more about Bitcoin. Also has a forum where people can go and discuss a lot of these changes that may be on the horizon for Bitcoin. I know that once Bitcoin Classic is released, we'll certainly find out about it. I signed up for their email list, so I'm excited to get behind something that's going to allow for more transactions. But we had a TJ the spot that the fees should go up, that there should be market competition for fees. What's the argument there? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I think that seems pointless, right? And at the end of the day, also, it doesn't matter. Like, if there's only 1 megabyte worth of room for transactions, even if everybody starts paying $100 per transaction, there's still
the hard fork. Is it the miners or the people that use Bitcoin?
Yeah, there's no clear answer to that question, and that's why so much arguing is happening on the internet. It's kind of everybody and nobody all at the same time.
Okay.
I thought it was the mining power. I thought it was 75% of the miners or whatever had to go for the change.
Kind of, but another option would be if all the users don't like that, they can switch to a different mining algorithm that would make the mining hardware that's being used currently obsolete. So there's been people threatening to do that sort of thing as well. So the users can revolt, the miners can revolt, everybody can revolt, but everybody realizes that being on the same blockchain and using the same currency is the most convenient thing to do and the easiest for everybody and the safest and the best long-term solution. The problem is just agreeing what the characteristics of that blockchain should be.
It would seem really hard to get the miners to agree to taking lower fees, potentially cutting their fees in half. If you increase the block size by 100%, then theoretically you're going to cut the the transfer fee by 50%. So, I mean, isn't that sort of a bit of a conundrum?
Well, it doesn't really work like that, because currently every update to this Bitcoin blockchain, which is called a block, 25 new Bitcoins come into existence, and the miners receive those 25 new Bitcoins. The total fees in that block is maybe like 0.002 Bitcoins or something like that. So the ratio of fees to Bitcoins that are released as part of each new block, or the fee part, is very, very inconsequential at this point. In the future, it's thought that that'll be bigger and bigger, but Bitcoin is still very small in the grand scheme of things.
All right, I think I'm out of questions. Mark, you got anything else for Roger Ver while we're here?
I guess the worst case scenario that I see here is if Bitcoin decides not to grow, is that it essentially becomes the bearer bond of digital currencies. It will be theoretically the big boy on the block, and some other digital currency will be the thing that people use to do day-to-day transactions, but they store their wealth in Bitcoin. Is that what you foresee?
Yeah, I think if this sites like Shapeshift.io make it super easy to convert your Bitcoins to Dogecoins or Dark Coins or whatever other coins you want to convert them to, and it looks like that's maybe what'll wind up having to happen in the future. But it seems really sad and unnecessary from my point of view. And if people want to learn more, Bitcoin.com has all that.
It's the death of Bitcoin, right? I mean, there's the Bitcoin Classic has yet to come out, and this is the thing that you're behind. And there's a list of groups and like big Bitcoin companies that are behind this. Like, can you rattle off a few that are excited about this new Bitcoin Classic thing?
Almost everybody, and I apologize if I didn't explain clearly. I don't think that this means it's the death of Bitcoin if nothing happens. The exact opposite is what I think there. But almost all the major companies are behind this. So, for example, companies that are supporting a raise of the Bitcoin block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabyte to start is blockchain.info. That's the world's largest and most popular Bitcoin wallet by far. Coinbase.com, which is by far the easiest way to buy Bitcoins in the United States and a bunch of other countries as well. Zappo.com, which is another great Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin.com, Bread Wallet, OKCoin. There's just a whole bunch. There's a whole giant list over at BitcoinClassic.com.
So basically, we're just waiting for this software to come out so people can start adopting it and work toward that 75%. Is there any kind of ETA on this, or is it just like when it's done, it'll come out?
I think we're probably talking about days, not weeks at this point before it'll come out. There's actually binaries available now, so if you're an extra computer nerd, you can compile them and run them yourself. And so probably within a few more days here, we'll have the executables available for downloads that anybody can just, that just has basic knowledge of how to use a computer will be able to install it here pretty quickly.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to moving this debate forward and getting an answer so so we're not in a holding pattern anymore in the Bitcoin universe, because it definitely seems like the price of Bitcoin took a hit after that main programmer walked away from the project, although it seems to have recovered since then as well. So hopefully people will be able to get behind this and get excited about putting Bitcoin out there and growing it. And you've done a great job at helping with that with Bitcoin.com. Roger Ver, anything else you want to share with our audience tonight? Go ahead.
Yeah, Bitcoin is far from dead. All these problems that we've been discussing are a sign of its success. These are only problems because so many people around the world started using Bitcoin. If people weren't using it all over the world, none of these things would even be an issue at all.
Yeah, that's true.
These are a sign of success.
Good perspective. Roger Ver, thanks for coming on Free Talk Live by Skype tonight. Appreciate it. You want to join us? You can do that. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And the Skype username, if you'd like to jump on there, you can connect to username LRN.FM. You do have to send a contact request first, and then once you do that, we'll approve it, and you'll be good to go to call us from there. Let's go to Alex. He's on the line in Albuquerque, also on via Skype. Go ahead, Alex.
And I just wanted to give you guys a perspective of me being a long-time fan. I've been listening to you guys for almost 10 years, and I've never called in before because, well, I mean, I'm a podcast listener. I mean, it took me a long time to even figure out how to listen to you live tonight. I mean, I'm just not a radio listener, and I listen to you guys because of how much I love you as a fan. And I mean you.
All right. Thank you. No more gushing. We're going to get to the point of your call because I know there was a point. So stand by. Alex is with us here, and he's in Albuquerque, and you can join us also via Skype if you'd like. Skype username is LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
If you're not a smoker, please cover your ears, because the following incredible free money-saving offer is not for you. The makers of O2 Pure's revolutionary e-cigarette are now giving away free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, simply call in the next 10 minutes. 1-800-691-5458. The advanced O2 Pure design creates a pleasant vapor. There's no foul-smelling smoke and no nasty tar, so you can enjoy the nicotine you love whenever and wherever you are. Even better, you could also save yourself a ton of money, hundreds of dollars a month with O2 Pure. Again, free starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer, not available in stores, so call now for your free kit. 1-800-691-5458. 1-800-691-5458. 1-800-691-5458.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Are you an experienced Uber or Lyft driver with excellent ratings? If so, then you're ready to upgrade to Arcade City. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. It's more decentralized than Uber and Lyft. With Arcade City, you keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype. Skype username is lrn.fm, and you can join us online any old time you want at freetalklive.com. Exposing the secrets and uncovering the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the detailed real news that lies between the lines of propaganda and the relationship we have with coercive governments. freedomsphoenix.com has up-to-the-minute updates on the economy, technology, communications, and the rise of the police state. So go to freedomsphoenix.com and get signed up for their free daily dispatch. That's freedomsphoenix.com. As we go back to Alex on the line via Skype in Albuquerque. Alex, you were saying you had a tough time tuning us in online. Have you considered trying the radio? You know we're on in Albuquerque on Kiva, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of my point in calling is that I'm not a radio listener, but I've been a fan of you guys for like going on 10 years. I've been an amplifier, and I didn't know about Mark asking for more donations and threatening to quit the show until after he was already back, because
You're a little behind.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of how I listen to your show, and I don't think I'm probably think I'm not the only one, because I put on your podcast while I'm working, and I kind of zip through them, and I just really, but I think you guys don't realize, especially you, Mark, how good you really are at what you do, and I do mean you guys as a duo. I mean, the other hosts are great, they're knowledgeable, but you two, I mean, I work in the film business, and we have a name for it. It's called The Talent, and you two are the talent. You guys have an amazing relationship, and you're the two smartest people I feel like that are on the air in anything. And I rely on you guys. I tune in when I have. Well, I mean, I like I said, I should listen more. And I don't have time.
Ian is the second smartest person on the radio?
Yeah, actually I do. And I mean, and Mark, I mean, and Ian, I think, I agree with Ian in almost every case. I mean, I'm a voluntarist, and I'm a loudmouth. I'm crazy too. And people think I'm crazy. But Mark, you're the everyman, and you're more than the everyman. You've been to jail. You have a farm. You have kids. You have a family. I mean, I think you're an important asset to the show. And I understand how you feel overworked. And I think from what I understand, you guys spend all day selling ads and things like that. And I just think if you want any advice about the next stage in your life, or what you want to do next, because it feels like you're at a tipping point here, is I think you guys, both of you, really need to expand your personalities. And meaning, what I mean is trying to be more of a celebrity, because you have the smarts, you have the charisma. I think you're both generally good looking. And you guys should be on TV, I feel like. Like, Mark, I think you should write a book on this whole this whole thing about borders and,
Well, Mark's going to have a lot more free time coming up here when his family comes back. At least in theory, he might have time to do something like that. But, getting booked on TV is going to take some sort of an agent, and we have discussed perhaps raising the AMP money to hire an agent who might be able to kind of book Mark, for instance, to appear on as a talking head on places like MSNBC or Fox. But, it's probably kind of tricky to break into that world. We did have a listener of ours send us a long email, a Free Talk Live amplifier, a supporter of the show, sent us a long email with details about, how to do effective social networking and things like that. And one of the things he suggested was hiring a publicity firm, basically, who could go out and pitch Free Talk Live as potential guests for these kinds of shows. But even he said, when I asked him further about that, he said that even though he'd paid $1,000 to this one company and they got 40-something bookings for him in a month, which sounded really awesome, it was all radio, which isn't a bad thing. It would still be extra exposure for Free Talk Live. But so there's no guarantee that we throw down an X amount of dollars to hire a publicist that we're going to get on TV. And it's not like you can just snap your fingers and make something like that happen.
No, definitely not. And I think your biggest misguidance here is thinking that you have to pay an agent. If I know anything about agents, and I'm an actor, I'm in SAG, is that agents make money off you and you don't pay them. Basically, what you need to do is you need to establish, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying what I would like to see you do is, establish yourself as an online, as an internet personality, a radio personality, someone with a worldwide audience that is talking about issues that no one's talking about. And an agent, if you get an agent to get you a book deal, then they will get you on TV. But you guys have I'm as frustrated as you guys, because I've been listening since 2008. And back then I had a whole different thought of what 2016 would be like. I thought Ron Paul was going to catch on. I thought that Free Talk Live would have a TV network by 2016. And I can understand why you guys might be frustrated that it's kind of, you've been just doing the same thing.
I'm not frustrated. Mark's the only one who's frustrated.
And I think, Mark,
I feel great.
If you wrote a book, I am an amp, like I said, and I've been spending $3 a month for God knows how long. But, I think, calling out for your listeners for money, the way to do that is to give them a product. If you had a book, I would buy it. I would buy it for my friends. I promise you, and I'm sure most of your listeners would too.
What do you think that Mark's book should be? Should it be like a biography or autobiography rather, or just like what Mark thinks the world should look like?
That's what most radio talk show hosts do. They each chapter they'll say, this is how we should redesign this, and this is how we should redesign that. I mean, that's what I've seen.
Yeah, I think you should get a whole Rush Limbaugh mentality and say, this is what Mark Edge thinks about this issue, and do just a small issue.
No two towns should have the same name.
Oh God, it really irritates me.
But I think like this whole border thing is a good one, because this is something that everybody could agree on. Everyone's annoyed by
It's the time to talk about it. If I had a Borders book that I just put out a month ago, man, I would be in good shape, right?
Yeah, and if you had someone booking, I could see you on Bill Maher or The Daily Show. And this is how you can get Free Talk Live out there. I tell you, I'm not a radio listener. Also, nobody I know is. And I don't mean to sound like an elitist or anything, but it's old. I don't listen to radio. I listen to some podcasts, and I barely have time for that. But, I catch The Daily Show's pundits, and you guys are just as smart, just as qualified, more qualified. None of them, most pundits on TV don't have anything. They don't have a radio show.
Well, they're not getting calls consistently 21 hours a week being pummeled by people who disagree with them, so they don't have that kind of debate skill.
Alex, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate the kind...
One more point, please? I also don't think you guys understand how funny you are. And that's what I went to encourage. You guys are funny, and Mark, when that whole story, that whole recording with you with the cop, I was laughing my butt off. I mean,
it was pretty fun. You're talking about the Border Patrol video with
I am
Mark.
still getting responses on Facebook where people are just freaking out at me. It's
what
hilarious.
Do you mean freaking out in what way?
Whenever people call in and you guys disagree with them, it's hilarious, and that's what I think your personality should be on TV. Like, even if people don't agree with you, even if people think you're crazy, like people think Rush Limbaugh is crazy, but they love to see him yell at people. It's just what you guys have got going, and what I think you should really.
All right. Well, thanks for the encouragement, Alex, and thanks for the call tonight. Welcome to the calling world of Free Talk Live. Appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Tim, listening in Wyoming via TuneIn. Hello, Tim. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Welcome, sir.
I was actually hoping to get on with your last guest because he was talking about Bitcoin, and he also said he made me laugh when he talked about the memory that he used to sell. Excuse me.
Yep.
Sorry about
Roger
that.
Veer with Bitcoin.com. Yep.
Yeah, his old memory company is memorydealers.com.
Right. Well, but when he was saying he was selling 600, I think he said 600 megabytes or something like that.
No, it's 8 megabytes for $600.
Right, 8 megabytes for $600. I remember when I was in high school, they had a computer lab, and I'd never seen computers up close. Really, this was in the early '80s, and they had a 100 kilobyte tower memory for all of the computers. 100K.
Yeah.
And kids were talking about 100K, and I thought, what is that? And they said, wow, it's huge. It's gigantic. And I thought, wow, this must be like the size of the building or something. I looked in there. I didn't see anything gigantic. I just looked through the window. I couldn't tell. I never got into the class, though. But no, I wondered about the...
when was this?
Early 80s.
This was like I said, early 80s.
Okay. Yeah, that would have to be. I'm remembering the PC Junior was 120, about 125 or something, kilobyte RAM, and that was kind of the, that was the entry level machine for people.
Yeah, they had cartridges. You didn't even have hard drives in those things. You had to load it with a cartridge.
These were 5 1/4-inch floppy disks for one, and then on top of that, I think they were Apple IICs or something like that.
So did you have did you just want to reminisce about old technology, or did you have a question, or where'd you want to go with this?
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, right here.
Okay. Right here. Oh, sorry, my headset's kind of giving me trouble here.
All right, I'll tell you what, you figure that out. We'll continue the discussion. Yeah, we can actually hear ourselves back from your headset. Would recommend unplugging it if you can. Pull over to a safe spot, and then we'll come back to you here, Tim. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following sharp increases yesterday, in early trading on Wednesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,118 per ounce. Silver is down 3 cents at $14.54 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $395 US. We have plenty of new 2016 Silver American Eagles in stock. Get yours online at rrbi.co or give us a call at 800-874-9760.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 31st, 2016. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,118 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $382. Antiwar.com reports a negotiation team from the Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the powerful YPG militia, departed Switzerland on Saturday after being told they would not be allowed to participate in the UN peace talks on Syria, which began on Friday. Though they are one of the largest factions in the Syrian civil war and hold almost the entire Hasakah province, the PYD/YPG were not invited to the talks on the demand of Turkey, who insists that they are terrorists. Both Russia and the United States had sought their inclusion, with Russia suggesting they might be able to participate later even if they don't get in on the first day. PYD co-president Salah Muslim was among the delegations sent to Geneva, and while the group was carefully sequestered from the pro-Saudi Higher Negotiations Committee, it was hoped they might find a spot at the table given how few factions managed to show up in the first place. Turkey's refusal to allow any Kurds at the talks, along with resistance from other rebel factions who insist the Kurds focus on fighting the Islamic State, means they aren't proper rebels, ultimately kept them out of the talks, which means the first round will be between the Syrian government and a coalition representing a handful of mostly trivial rebel factions. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports attorneys for the Chicago police officer accused in the shooting death of a 17-year-old are asking for the trial to be moved to a different location. Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's attorney, Daniel Herbert, said his client is receiving death threats as well as threats to his family after his charge was announced in the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. Herbert said it may be impossible to successfully assemble an unbiased jury after Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel publicly condemned the officer. According to USA Today, Herbert said, "We think that at the end of the day we're going to present some very compelling evidence to demonstrate that it's impossible for my client to get a fair trial in this case." The victim's great-uncle, Reverend Martin Hunter, and other activists reportedly worry that Van Dyke would manage to easily be cleared of the charges if the trial took place in Cook County. According to Fox 32, Hunter said, "We feel like the entire Cook County criminal justice system needs to be overhauled and investigated." Earlier this month, the Chicago Police Department released dashcam footage of the October 2014 shooting of McDonald, who was shot 16 times. Van Dyke has pled not guilty to first-degree murder. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the FBI negotiated further with 4 occupants at a remote federal wildlife refuge in Oregon on Saturday, while the holdouts in a video posted online expressed their mistrust of the government and reluctance to leave. One of the 4 protesters remaining at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge said in a darkly lit video posted on Friday that he wanted to be assured that he would not be arrested if he attempted to leave. Others with him expressed similar resolve. Tensions in the standoff remained high 4 days after Robert Lavoie Finicum, a spokesman for the group that seized buildings at the refuge on January 2nd, was killed by police at a roadblock where occupation leader Eamon Bundy and several other protesters were arrested. FBI spokeswoman Beth Ann Still said negotiations are ongoing, declining to give details on the talks or comment on the video showing Finicum's death. Bundy has issued messages through his attorney urging those remaining at the refuge to stand down and saying that he would continue the fight through the courts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
America is at a crossroads on many issues, leading many to ask, is it time for President to blow the silver horn left behind by the Founding Fathers in case the country ever needed them? Of course, the horn, which has been sitting in the Oval Office since 1817, has never been used by a commander-in-chief, but many Americans think now might be the time to summon our forefathers. Which Founding Fathers would come back?
All of them. Look, when you have a bug problem, you call the exterminator. When you have an America problem, you call the Founding Fathers. They know what to do.
We have to keep in mind the Founding Fathers left us with a warning. If you blow the horn with less than pure intentions, it will turn to tin and can never be used.
But a president has to take risks, have the courage to admit that his administration is not all-knowing, and blow that magic silver horn to summon someone who is.
Yes, but what if we become too reliant on them and they disappear after the next new moon, as was written?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, Fraternal Order of Police. They've been hacked, and ostensibly terabytes of data have been taken from them by the hacker, or copied by the hacker, and 2.5 gigs of it has already been released. I will tell you more about what that is, what's happening there here in moments. You can join us toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Tonight with you on the live Sunday show, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And we're going to go right back to your calls and thoughts. Tim is still with us listening in Wyoming. Tim, you wanted to talk to Roger Ver from Bitcoin.com. He, unfortunately, is not on the line with us at the moment, but was there a question or statement or something that you wanted to share? He may still be listening, and we may be able to field whatever the question is.
Well, actually, yeah, the question that I had was, what exactly is a Bitcoin miner, and how can a person purchase Bitcoins? I mean, you have to purchase an actual single Bitcoin at a time, unless I'm mistaken, right?
You are mistaken. A Bitcoin can be divided down by 8 decimal points. So if you want to purchase 0.0001 Bitcoin, you can do that. although it probably would cost less than a cent, so it'd be hard. But you can, with like a Bitcoin vending machine, for instance, you can stick $1 into a Bitcoin vending machine and get $1 worth of Bitcoins in your Bitcoin wallet. You can purchase Bitcoin through online services like Coinbase.com, so you do not have to buy a full Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin if you want to. And what was the first part of the question? I didn't write that down.
The first part of the question was, what exactly is a Bitcoin miner? I looked at Bitcoin.com, and I couldn't really get the answer from that site. But I'm guessing it was there, but I didn't find it. But,
without getting too technical, the Bitcoin miner, because I probably couldn't, but the Bitcoin miner is a person who's running a piece of hardware that basically is just running numbers, essentially, very complex equations like cryptographic. Very, very complicated math, essentially. And what they're doing with that is they're verifying the transactions that are happening over the network. And they're also, that's helping to somehow mine new Bitcoins into existence. There's a finite number of Bitcoins that will be able to be mined, which I believe is 21 million. And I think they're about halfway through that number at this point. The miners are sort of the guts of the operation. Without the Bitcoin miners doing their mining, then nothing gets done. The transactions don't happen. They don't get verified. So it's important for the miners to be there. The miners are rewarded in two ways for their work, because it costs money to be a Bitcoin miner. You've got to pay the power bill, for instance. And
got to buy the equipment.
And you got to buy the equipment. And the equipment is just constant, computers just constantly cranking through these numbers. And so the Bitcoin miners are rewarded by these new Bitcoins that are mined into existence. The miners collect those. And ultimately, and then there's also these fees, the transaction fees on Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin transaction should have a fee associated with it, which is a very, very small fee, as Roger was pointing out. You're talking about like maybe 2 cents to send any size transaction. I mean, I'm being very general here, but that's just about what you probably will pay. So it's not very expensive at all. But the miners are collecting a lot of these little fees, when they're clearing the transactions through the network. So that's what the Bitcoin miner is. It's sort of like, this is the technical side of Bitcoin, that the average Bitcoin user doesn't even have to know that miners exist. It's more for, like you don't need to know how the dollars are printed in order to be able to pull them out of your wallet and hand
I can
them
tell
to
you
someone.
the average person doesn't know how money goes from one bank to another bank in a wire transfer.
Yeah.
So you have that same level of necessity to know what makes Bitcoin move from one location to another.
So I hope that helps,
Right,
Tim.
right.
Anything else tonight?
Well, that does help. Yeah, but I was wondering now, as far as the people that are running the numbers, as you say, the Bitcoin miners, those people that are doing the behind-the-scenes work to keep the Bitcoin world flowing, in a manner of speaking, are they under attack as well because they're helping the decentralized currency to continue to operate? Or
When you say are they under attack, what do you mean?
I mean under attack as in because foreign, just say governmental entities want to have a monopoly on a form of currency. They want to say that you can only use a Federal Reserve note or a Deutschmark or a pound or a franc, which basically don't exist anymore.
There would be no way, as I understand it, for the government to identify who is a miner. So, no, the miners are not being attacked in any way, shape, or form by any governmental organization because there's no way of knowing who they are. That's my understanding of it.
Basically, they're anonymous. I mean, they're doing the work behind the people on the stage who are moving things around that you don't have to see. You just see the actors. So
pretty much. Thanks for the call tonight,
okay,
Tim.
well,
I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You want to get started with Bitcoin, go to Bitcoin.com. You can watch a real quick intro video about it, help you explain the idea, and you can get your first Bitcoin wallet set up for free. They've got very specific recommendations there, and there are a lot of different options for Bitcoin wallets. All of them cost nothing except for the time it takes to install it and learn how to use it, which there's a little learning curve, but it's getting easier over time. Using Bitcoin today is much easier than using it 7 years ago when it first came out. So there's a lot of these tools that have been developed, Bitcoin wallets that have made it a simple process to install and use Bitcoin, and there's really no reason not to get into it at this point.
The ramp up is it's here. I mean, it gets easier and easier every month.
Let's go to Darius. He's on the line in Toronto, listening online. Hello, Darius. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Good. I want to know, it's a decentralized currency. I understand that, but in order to obtain Bitcoins, you'd have to exchange your labor for American dollars, for example, right? So before you can even purchase Bitcoins, you would have to exchange your labor for American dollars.
Well, you could also exchange your labor for Bitcoin. So
Free Talk Live sells ads for Bitcoin.
Yeah, so if you wanted to get Bitcoin, there are a couple different ways you can do it. You can buy it with dollars or other currencies, like you were talking about. But if you know someone who's willing to pay you with Bitcoin, then you can exchange your labor for Bitcoin. So, if I need my lawn mowed and you want to mow my lawn for me because I hate mowing lawns, I used to live in Florida and it's something I don't do anymore, then I would offer to pay you in Bitcoin. Then you wouldn't have to convert anything.
Right. Is there an exchange where you can swap maybe physical metals for Bitcoin as well?
I don't know of any.
I know there are websites where you can exchange Bitcoin for metals.
Right.
I don't know if there are websites. What's that? The other way around? I would suspect. Here's what I would do. I would call up those websites that have those that do that and ask if they want to do the reverse, and the chances are good they do.
They might.
Basically, those organizations like that just make money on the exchange.
Oh, okay, I see. And the best source of information for me to go to is Bitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com is a good starting point. If you're looking to liquidate metal and turn it into Bitcoin, I'd talk to Tim over at Roberts and Roberts at RRBI.
Roberts?
I'm sorry?
Roberts and Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts and Roberts is they're a company that actually accepts Bitcoin for precious metals. There aren't very many companies that do that, but they do it, and so they might do the reverse. I can't guarantee that they do, but that's where I would start. That's the person I'd ask first. So
thank you very much,
Yep,
guys.
no problem. Thanks for the call tonight, Darius.
And if you want to get metals for regular U.S. dollars, you can go to gold.freetalklive.com.
I don't think you can do that.
No?
Can you? Are you sure about that?
I don't know. That's what we've always done.
Okay. I think, you know what, that forwards you to Roberts and Roberts. So when you go to gold.freetalklive.com, that'll take you right to their website. So toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I think you were thinking about Midas Resources, Mark, which used to be associated with Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but with selling gold and silver. But they never accepted Bitcoin for gold and silver, and Midas Resources has since closed down, unfortunately, due to regulations that were put in place by the state of Minnesota, which is where Midas was located. They'd been around doing good business selling gold and silver. You and I have purchased gold and silver through Midas Resources, and unfortunately, these regulations that the state of Minnesota put in place, they essentially forced Ted Anderson's hand. He had to close down his business.
It's crazy.
Because whatever it was that they did, and I don't know exactly what they did, but they essentially made it so Ted didn't want to do that business anymore. So toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us online as well at freetalklive.com or call us on Skype. Skype username is lrn.fm. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
The Free State Project is an agreement among 20,000 participants to move to New Hampshire for liberty in our lifetime. Now almost 95% to our goal, we are creating private solutions to public problems and creating a society that runs on voluntary interactions instead of coercion. We invite you to participate in our cause and be part of our upcoming conference, Liberty Forum 16. Liberty Forum is a premier liberty-oriented conference based in Manchester, New Hampshire, that attracts free thinkers from all over the world. Over the past 9 years, this 3-day conference has grown to attract distinguished speakers and organizations to discuss how to build a better society through free market solutions. This year, our headliner is Edward Snowden, live from Russia. To learn more about attending, exhibiting, and sponsoring this event, please go to nhlibertyforum.com. That's nhlibertyforum.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, the Fraternal Order of Police has been hacked, and we'll tell you more about what has happened in that case. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
Coming up in less than 3 weeks now, the Liberty Forum, the celebratory final completion of the Free State Project version of the Liberty Forum, the first Liberty Forum to have ever happened since the Free State Project will have completed. The Free State Project right now is at 99% of its goal of reaching 20,000 liberty-loving people like you, maybe, who love freedom enough to where you're willing to sign up with the Free State Project, sign the statement of intent saying you're willing to move to New Hampshire, as Mark, you and I have done, as over 1,600 people have done as early movers to the Free State Project, to move to New Hampshire, uproot your life, bring your family, bring your business if you've got one, if you can move it, to get here and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. The Free State Project is now at 99%. We have less than 150 signatures to go.
142.
So this thing is going to be finished by the end of the week at the latest, probably Wednesday likely at the latest, which means that the Liberty Forum this year is going to be an epic event. I mean, it's always a great event worth attending every single year. This one's going to be a huge party. Edward Snowden is going to be attending. That's how big this year's Liberty Forum is. Now, Edward unfortunately cannot show up in person, but he will be there via video link from Moscow, where he is safely away in whatever hotel or wherever it is he's staying over there, because the federal government wants to put him in a cage, and so we can't have that. But he will be attending the Liberty Forum via video link, so we're looking forward to seeing that. And, of course, dozens of other great speakers. Lynn Ulbricht, Ross Ulbricht's mother, is going to be back speaking again at Liberty Forum this year. Of course, Ross, the founder of the Silk Road, the underground marketplace on the dark web, he is in prison and is now just recently filed his appeal in federal appeals court. So his mom, I'm sure, will be updating us on the latest on that situation. Lots of great reasons to attend Liberty Forum. The number one reason is to be around hundreds of people who get it, people who understand what liberty is all about and who are willing to actually do something about it. That's the real draw, in my opinion, for Liberty Forum. And as a sideshow, Free Talk Live will be there live every single night. So we'll be broadcasting this show, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. It's February 18th through the 21st. That's a Thursday through a Sunday. If you can only make it up for a day or two, come up for a day or two. It's well worth it to meet this amazing community, the people who will be your neighbors if you decide to make the move here as part of the Free State Project. So go to nhlibertyforum.com. It's happening in Manchester, New Hampshire, at the Radisson Hotel, right in the heart of downtown Manchester. Great location, great event. It's the 9th year for the Liberty Forum, and I'm super excited about going. nhlibertyforum.com. Go get registered. Get your tickets now. Lock in your hotel room while you still can, before it's too late. February 18th through the 21st, nhlibertyforum.com. We go to Brian, who is on the line on Skype in California. Hello, Brian.
Hey guys.
Hey there.
Thanks for taking my call and making a series out of this.
That's okay. That's what we do. Go ahead.
Call it education of the ignorant. But okay, so where we left off on rights, right? So again, I'm confused on the libertarian stance on rights, and where we left off was that, from what I remember, is that you guys were making the case that social contracts are legitimate, right? As long as maybe there's some type of large social consensus. Am I getting something?
Yeah, I think that sounds that sounds about right. I mean, the problem with the social contract versus social contracts of any sort is that, social contracts exist all over in our relationships, and for instance, you don't stand too close to somebody when you talk to them. It's kind of just a norm. I think that's another term that people have for it. The social contract is it's a construct that people use to explain why it's okay for the government to do anything the hell it wants.
Sure, but you guys label yourself as you guys both label yourselves as voluntarists, right?
I'm a voluntarist. Yeah, I believe all human interaction should be consensual.
I'll stick. If you want to use the term voluntarist, that's fine. Libertarian's fine with me. Whatever.
You don't think the whole idea of introducing, you don't. Well, let me finish that. You don't think the idea of introducing legitimizing the idea of any social contract, even if you open up one possibility, it's not somewhat consistent with voluntarism?
Inconsistent, you say?
Yeah,
it would be inconsistent with voluntarism to use violence or the threat of violence against people, which is what the government does. So I never signed the government's supposed social contract. They can't point out the terms of that social contract, and the terms appear to be they tell me what to do, and if I don't do it, they hurt me or put me in a cage. So no, by voluntarist standards, that does not hold water.
It seems circular though, because okay. We can admit one thing, right? There's no significant difference between rights and NAP.
The NAP, you mean the non-aggression principle?
Yeah, they're both moral ethics that pretty much mostly say the same thing. It's very hard to distinguish the difference, right? I'll let you revise it later, but
I mean, the non-aggression principle is a much more narrow concept than the idea of rights.
You guys only believe that you don't have the right to do aggression. That's it, right? Essentially.
No, I think there's all kinds of norms that are piled on top of that. I mean, that's just a baseline.
Yeah, the non-aggression principle is...
See, the non-aggression principle, which is that you will not use force or fraud in relationships, so initiatory force or fraud in relationships, just defines what a crime is. And then you have everything else on top of it. So there's all kinds of weird people that are functioning above the NAP that are not committing crimes. They're just weird and people don't want to hang out with them. So if you want to, have human relationships, you're going to have to do things that, are normal, because if every 5 seconds when you're talking to somebody you just decide to go honk, right? Like, people are going to decide, well, this is not going to work. It's a social norm that you don't honk whenever you're talking to people, and you just, come out of your mouth honk, right? Like that's a weird thing to do. So there's stuff above the NAP.
Well, I don't know. The whole negative rights idea. The negative rights idea. If you subscribe just
what is a negative right? Can you explain that for our listeners?
The thing that's prohibited. I don't believe in negative rights because all negative rights can be reworded as a positive right. But it's somewhat logical. But let me move on. As far as the social contract is concerned, this arbitrary nature on which social contract is legitimate, right? It seems like you're arbitrarily saying it's only okay if it abides by the NAP. It's like circular definition, right? Well, what makes the current norm of paying taxes, or let's say back in back in in the past where they're burning witches as a norm. What makes that illegitimate from what you're claiming as a social contract, which is the right to property or whatever?
Well, I think that it is based, for me, it's based on the non-aggression principle. That
yeah, exactly. Circular, right?
No, it's not circular. This is the non-aggression principle is an easy axiom that you can hand down to people, because this is what it is, right? We're trying to figure out how to make 7 billion human primates live together on the same planet. And here's a way. It's called the non-aggression principle, and it's really easy. It says you don't hurt people that haven't hurt you, and you don't steal from people that haven't stolen from you. And if you do that, then you can live with us. And if you don't, we're going to kill you.
Go away. Thanks for the call, Brian. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I think, Mark, another good example of a level above the non-aggression principle is don't be an a-hole. The non-aggression principle doesn't say anything about being an a-hole or how you treat people. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
U.S. officials assure Hong Kong that their protest is just one of many issues the White House is staying silent on, and an old guy at a hostel is down to party. This is the Onion Week in Review. Stunned officials from the Marine Conservation Institute announced this week that the past half-century of climate change and habitat loss somehow hasn't managed to take down the parrotfish. Biologists stress that despite destructive chemical runoff, rising ocean temperatures, and overfishing, the persistent little shits were somehow plugging right along like nothing had even happened.
You look at the oil spills, greenhouse gases, and God knows what else we're throwing at them, and you think, yeah, those subtropical should have been wiped out decades ago. But nope, these sons of bitches are still around and doing better than ever.
In other news, a grasshopper is dismembered by a future Supreme Court justice. A man having a great time will soon have to apologize to everyone, and Rand Paul pretends to be asleep so his dad will carry him in from the car.
This is the Onion News Network.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 90% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeen.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeen.com. That's freekeen.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Sunday edition. Take control of the airwaves here. Bring up whatever's on your mind. What's the latest from the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge? The answer is we don't really know. There hasn't been a video posted to the Defend Your Base YouTube channel for nearly 24 hours at this point. It's been 23 hours since the last video was posted, and we'll give you an update on that here. You can join us as well, whether it's talking about the esoteric of rights or Bitcoin or whatever it is that you want to discuss. You can do that here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And I think it's a common misconception that all libertarians care about is the non-aggression principle. And ultimately, that is what defines libertarianism, is simply the non-aggression principle. The idea that it is not, it's not okay, it's wrong to use aggressive force against other people to get them to do what you want them to. A libertarian would use persuasion to try to get someone to do what they want. Aggression, you're no longer a libertarian, or advocating someone else use aggression for you, for instance. That would also be a problem. But that's not enough to create a good society. That's just a baseline of what human interaction's most basic level should be. Hey, don't hit him. Right. You know, that kind of thing.
Well, there was a time in human interaction when essentially it made as much sense to go and plunder as it did to trade. Right? I mean, you know, the Mongols got very rich by conquering the Chinese and the Persians and sweeping on into Russia and all that stuff. These people got very, very wealthy killing. Well, today, it's not, you know, today with the way communication is, it's not nearly as successful. You're going to get tried for war crimes doing stuff like that. So this is a new system for dealing with your fellow human. You can don't steal from them, and we'll be okay. Like, you start there. I know the government's full of a bunch of violent nut jobs. Okay, so hey, government agents, here's where you start. You start with, you will pay me taxes because I've done work for you. Well, how about I come to your house and I fix the awnings? Huh? I'll just do a little work around your house, and then I'll come out and I'll demand whatever payment I feel like, because, well, I did some work for you. Well, no, that's not really abiding by any kind of principle, is it? That's just, you know, that's thuggery. It's disguised thuggery. Yeah. That's what the government does. Here, this is what I'm asking you. Is there an activity? Is there something that the state does that the free market can't do better?
Toll-free number, if you want to answer that question, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But to have a functioning society of good people, the non-aggression principle is only the most basic starting point. You have to add in, I think, more on top of that, like how to interact with human beings on a positive basis and treating people right, which treating people right is more than just not aggressing against them. It's giving good customer service. Sure. It's asking how you can help, how you can be of service to that individual. It's respecting other people's rights. It's respecting other people's individuality. And so, like, you know, I don't think it's okay to be rude to people. I don't think it's okay to be racist. It's not enough. And some libertarians are obsessed with the non-aggression principle, and they seem to be at the sort of the beginnings of this whole evolution process that we're going through. But we've got to go beyond the non-aggression principle and embrace being good to our fellow man and woman. Let's go to Justin in Tennessee. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Justin.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I've heard you talk about the voluntarism and the non-aggression principle. I'm hearing this a lot, and I don't mean to get into any of the debates really going on with cryptocurrency, but unfortunately, you know, it's kind of a place where people don't like to talk about ideas a lot anymore. It seems like they're all fighting amongst each other over scraps, and they're not really looking at how we can fix some of these things using blockchain technology. And I wanted to know, have you guys paid any attention to, first off, this is my first thing, would be, are you guys paying any attention to the Bitcoin debate, the blockchain, and where we stand on the non-aggression principle and using the blockchain to enforce legal structures that do not have to use that we have a transparent means of looking in at the power and see what's
that one out.
No. I say the answer to the question is no, I have not.
Well, okay. I just want to really, if you guys don't mind, I want to just plug this really quick, and it's not necessarily for me, but blockchain technology isn't all built the same. But the thing that's cool about a distributed ledger, which is what blockchain technology essentially is, where everybody shares this ledger, is that we can actually identify, it can't be altered, it can't be changed. You can track that as a history. But the danger there, of course, if we have data, like, I don't know if you guys noticed that there are Bitcoin fans who actually had chips injected in.
It's a distributed ledger. At this point, the Bitcoin blockchain specifically is a public ledger, meaning that anyone who wants can look at every Bitcoin transaction that's ever happened, all the way from the very first one. How is that going to be used to hurt people, in your mind?
Well, look at what the government's doing today, right? They can track all this info, not anonymous. You see it in the news. They talk about it being anonymous. That's absolutely incorrect. I don't know if it's open disinformation or.
I think it's just people don't understand what they're talking about.
So what you're saying is that the government can analyze our spending patterns and come up with information that could be very frightening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I'm a veteran. Imagine I love the Second Amendment, but I think that the biggest force multiplier is actually computers now. So let's say I go out and I buy, weapons using Bitcoin online. Mm-hmm. And they track everything I do, but I think that it's anonymous. So I think, because I've been told that it's anonymous, I can go out and do all these things, purchase things, and it's not anonymous.
Well, buyer beware. It is important to get the information out there. What you're saying is true. Bitcoin is not anonymous. Bitcoin is a public ledger where anyone who knows an address. So, for instance, if you know the Free Talk Live that is associated with Free Talk Live, anyone who wants to can put that address into blockchain.info and look up all of the transactions that everyone who's ever given money to Free Talk Live since the beginning of that wallet. But on the other hand, if we were to if you create a new wallet in the Bitcoin system and you don't tell anyone about that, if you don't say, hey, I'm Justin in Tennessee, here's my wallet ID, then no one but you knows what that wallet ID is. Are they just holding out and waiting to swoop in on every single Bitcoin user who's ever bought something on the Silk Road or the various other darknet markets? I mean, there are ways to anonymize your traffic on the internet, and there are ways to use Bitcoin anonymously. You just have to go through some steps. It's not anonymous by default, but it does take some effort, and you generally can be pretty safe with it. If you've got a response, you're welcome to share it here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-965-1170.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-965-1170. That's 1-800-965-1170. 1-800-965-1170.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know him on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products, most ready to ship same day. Visit The Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of The Berkey Guy.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift.
Anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for lrn.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting block and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us toll free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. You can Skype in here, username lrn.fm. And you can join us online any old time you want at freetalklive.com. If you like the show and you want to help support Free Talk Live, we've been talking a lot about Bitcoin. Now you can become a Free Talk Live amplifier with Bitcoin. This is the way to support Free Talk Live. $5 a month is what we ask for. It's a way for you to get behind the show and help us. We'll invest that money into Free Talk Live, into advertising, marketing, promoting, and getting Free Talk Live on more radio stations, exposing new internet listeners, local radio station. You can help make that more possible for $5 a month with any major credit card through PayPal, Visa, or MasterCard right through our website. And now Bitcoin. You can use Bitcoin as of, I think we started a couple months ago, accepting Bitcoin for the AMP program. You get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, the AMP-only podcast, and more. Go get the details. Get signed up, please. It makes a big difference for us. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to become a Free Talk Live amplifier and support the show that way. It's really appreciated. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. AMP as in advertise, market, and promote. amp.freetalklive.com. We're talking about the pseudonymity of Bitcoin. A lot of media gets it wrong, and Justin in Tennessee was wondering if it's something that they're getting wrong on purpose, so they can misinform people about Bitcoin, because some people think Bitcoin's anonymous, but in point of fact, the default mode for Bitcoin is that it is not actually anonymous, that every single transaction is completely viewable by the public. It's a public ledger, which is what the blockchain is. That's the technology that sort of makes Bitcoin work.
And I would think with enough computing power that some organization, the government comes to mind, but with enough computing power, they should be able to just sort of compare all the wallets and that sort of thing and figure out who's doing what.
Well, if they don't know who owns a wallet, then I don't think they can figure out who is that person. That was sort of what I was saying, is that when you create a new wallet on the Bitcoin, if you get the official Bitcoin client, so there's different Bitcoin wallets out there. You get the official Bitcoin client, you generate a wallet there, and you don't tell anyone about it, then no one else knows that wallet exists except for you. And no amount of scanning, I don't think, is going to change that. But I could be wrong. Justin, what did you have to say about it? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I wasn't sure if I was still okay. First off, I was listening to this, and I want to say I think that everybody should support Bitcoin. Bitcoin is what initially emerged and brought us blockchain technology, right? But one thing that I come from, the background that I come from, is actually mental health stuff. And it's interesting to me sometimes where, you know, we as humans tend to forget sometimes and overlook the downside to something that we're doing and only, you know, play up on the good side, especially when profit motive is in there too, right? And I think because of that, we have to be extra careful. We have to be extra vigilant, because Bitcoin itself, you know, yes, you can, if you are a very high level techie, right, that you can do a lot of stuff. Of course, you can remain pretty anonymous on the web. But the problem there that lies therein is the same one that we had with the web, right, in general. The web itself, if you are very highly skilled with technology, you're good to go, or at least relatively so, unless, like you gentlemen said, the government gets on you and they put all their resources behind it, and at that point you're in trouble. But, you know, or any other institution that wants to harm you. For me, I find myself thinking, you know, we need the equivalency of something like HTTPS, you know, where everything is encrypted for the user, so they don't have to worry about it as much. So we have to bring it to the mainstream. And along with that mainstream, have you guys paid attention to the Mike Hearn debate?
This is the guy who was one of the head programmers of Bitcoin, who has walked away from the project, exclaiming that Bitcoin is dead. We talked to Roger Ver earlier in the show tonight. I don't know if you heard any of that interview, but we had Roger on for most of the first hour of Free Talk Live, and Roger obviously disagrees with Mike Hearn. You know, that Bitcoin has been pronounced dead 90 times.
If I had a Bitcoin for every time Bitcoin was pronounced dead.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not so worried about that.
Wouldn't it be nice? Would that not be nice? You wouldn't have to worry about donations as much.
But wouldn't you agree, though, to come back to what we were saying before, Justin, is that if you put enough effort in, like, you know, being behind an anonymizing system like Tor, for instance, and, you know, not announcing publicly your Bitcoin wallet address, or even in addition using Bitcoin mixing technology like Bitcoin Fog, for instance, is a website on the darknet. Now, of course, you have to trust that the FBI isn't actually the operators of Bitcoin Fog in the first place. Yeah. So, you know, there's some things that you don't really know for sure, but they've been around for a few years now, 2 or 3 years, I think, and I don't know how many transactions have gone through it, but I imagine quite a few. These Bitcoin mixing services are ways for people to sort of obscure the Bitcoin transactions, and the mixing service will take a portion of the you know, the amount of Bitcoin that you put in there as their fee. So there are ways to do it, and if there weren't ways to do it, then I think people would be scared to death about using Bitcoin to do things like buy drugs on the internet, but thousands of people are doing that successfully on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think that that's great for the beginning for a beta-level technology, but you know, if I want my mom to be able to enjoy the privacy that I enjoy, we need to look at things that are going to bring this to the population in a way that they don't have to think about it. And, you know, I have man, I could talk to you guys all dang day.
Well, we don't have that much time.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate the time you've given.
Well, but as far as your mom is concerned, if mom just wants to go buy some flowers online, then you don't really need to have anonymity there. If she wants to go and buy some cocaine, then, you know, okay, yeah, there are more steps that are involved in that, and that's not an easy process.
The question, though, and I hate to interrupt, but this is the question that comes to mind with that is, you know, is it us who gets to decide what becomes illegal? And obviously, in this day and age, that's an obvious no, right? So we have to be very careful with that. And I think to get to my point, I guess, with Mike Hearn, when he said that the community has failed Bitcoin, I actually personally feel opposite. I feel that the leadership, and by that I mean the people at Blockstream, who are the devs, the core devs, and the miners have actually they are the ones who have kind of failed Bitcoin and failed their users and the community who has surrounded them.
Well, now we've come to a point where the people who are the core programmers, the developers, as you were pointing out, they can't agree on the future direction of Bitcoin, so we're going to maybe have what's called a hard fork. And we discussed a lot of that earlier tonight. Justin, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-37. For listeners that want to know more of the details, the technical nitty-gritty of the hard fork, I suspect you could just Google for Bitcoin hard fork and find all manner of different discussions that are going on about that right now.
Yeah, you can. That rabbit hole will go as deep as you want to dig it.
Yep, that's true. And that is one of the things about Bitcoin. It's a deep world. You can be a casual user. You can just,
in the same way that most people are casual users of dollars.
Right. You can just download a Bitcoin wallet and get some Bitcoin, put it in there, and start spending it. If you want to spend it anonymously, you do need to do some more research on how to approach that. But for the average user, that's not, unless you're a super anonymous, kind of super anonymity freak, and there's nothing wrong with that. But unless you are that person, then you don't really need to worry about going and buying a Coca-Cola off the shelf at Corner News and paying for that with Bitcoin. I'm not too concerned if the FBI knows that that's going on. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And just the billions of, I don't know how many damn transactions there are, but there are billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin out there. What is it, $5 billion worth or something like that? What's the market cap right now? I think CoinCap.io will tell you the market cap of Bitcoin. It's a sister site to Shapeshift.io. Is it CoinCap? Yeah, I think it's CoinCap.io. Anyway, that'll tell you what the actual value total amount
of Bitcoins that are in existence
is
multiplied times what they're worth.
There's a lot of Bitcoin transactions going on a daily basis. I highly doubt anyone could really get a handle on
looks
all
like
of it.
5.5 billion.
Let's go to Armed Truth. Listening in California, you're on Free Talk Live. Armed Truth.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm just actually calling. A friend and I were having a couple beers the other night. He's a libertarian. We're kind of just talking about everything going on. And he kind of brought up a funny scenario. I didn't really know how to answer. We were kind of talking about it. If it's hypothetical, obviously, but if the United States, let's say, turned into a libertarian, more voluntarist state where there's more private property, the state was pretty much, eliminated. Everybody just interacted with each other. With regarding selling and everything, if another state, this is while the rest, it's just the United States, if China or Russia, for example, started buying large amounts of land inside the United States and moving, let's say, a military or something around, how would the people react to that? And basically, if they tried to take over,
hold that thought. Let's talk about military takeover of a libertarian society. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 31st, 2016. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,118 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $382. Antiwar.com reports a negotiation team from the Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the powerful YPG militia, departed Switzerland on Saturday after being told they would not be allowed to participate in the UN peace talks on Syria, which began on Friday. Though they are one of the largest factions in the Syrian civil war and hold almost the entire Hasakah province, the PYD/YPG were not invited to the talks on the demand of Turkey, who insists that they are terrorists. Both Russia and the United States had sought their inclusion, with Russia suggesting they might be able to participate later even if they don't get in on the first day. PYD co-president Salah Muslim was among the delegations sent to Geneva, and while the group was carefully sequestered from the pro-Saudi Higher Negotiations Committee, it was hoped they might find a spot at the table given how few factions managed to show up in the first place. Turkey's refusal to allow any Kurds at the talks, along with resistance from other rebel factions who insist the Kurds focus on fighting the Islamic State, means they aren't proper rebels, ultimately kept them out of the talks, which means the first round will be between the Syrian government and a coalition representing a handful of mostly trivial rebel factions. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising for clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports attorneys for the Chicago police officer accused in the shooting death of a 17-year-old are asking for the trial to be moved to a different location. Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's attorney, Daniel Herbert, said his client is receiving death threats as well as threats to his family after his charge was announced in the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. Herbert said it may be impossible to successfully assemble an unbiased jury after Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel publicly condemned the officer. According to USA Today, Herbert said, "We think that at the end of the day we're going to present some very compelling evidence to demonstrate that it's impossible for my client to get a fair trial in this case." The victim's great-uncle, Reverend Martin Hunter, and other activists reportedly worry that Van Dyke would manage to easily be cleared of the charges if the trial took place in Cook County. According to Fox 32, Hunter said, "We feel like the entire Cook County criminal justice system needs to be overhauled and investigated." Earlier this month, the Chicago Police Department released dashcam footage of the October 2014 shooting of McDonald, who was shot 16 times. Van Dyke has pled not guilty to first-degree murder. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the FBI negotiated further with 4 occupants at a remote federal wildlife refuge in Oregon on Saturday, while the holdouts in a video posted online expressed their mistrust of the government and reluctance to leave. One of the 4 protesters remaining at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge said in a darkly lit video posted on Friday that he wanted to be assured that he would not be arrested if he attempted to leave. Others with him expressed similar resolve. Tensions in the standoff remained high 4 days after Robert Lavoie Finicum, a spokesman for the group that seized buildings at the refuge on January 2nd, was killed by police at a roadblock where occupation leader Eamon Bundy and several other protesters were arrested. FBI spokeswoman Beth Ann Stills said negotiations are ongoing, declining to give details on the talks or comment on the video showing Finicum's death. Bundy has issued messages through his attorney urging those remaining at the refuge to stand down and saying that he would continue the fight through the courts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The Surgeon General warns teens the cinnamon challenge is not for pussies. Taylor Swift is now dating the Watertown boat, and a middle-aged funeral director. 8-year wolf attacks remain the leading cause of death in the United States. The Human Health Agency's findings confirmed that being viciously killed by a ravenous wolf claimed the lives of over 800,000 Americans last year alone, with researchers adding that one person in the United States dies every 40 seconds from a violent wolf attack.
The mortality rate associated with wolf attacks vastly outstrips the death tolls of cancer, stroke, and chronic respiratory disease. People should know that anyone... Oh, Jesus, no.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free. 855-450-FREE is our number. That's 855-450-3733. You can also join us via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. You are on the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live with me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
And we're going to go back to Armed Truth in California, who was asking a question about, in this future libertarian voluntarist society where all human interaction is consensual, he was asking the question, and we'll let him clarify, but this was my understanding of the question. In this future where people respect property rights, what happens if the Chinese commies decide to start buying up property in the United States and moving military equipment onto that property? You said with the intention of then what, invading other people's property that they didn't buy? Is that right, Armed Truth?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just basically, if the United States is a voluntarist state, people interacted on a voluntary basis, traded internationally on a voluntary basis, and, land was up. You could purchase land if China, like they're doing, I don't think they're doing it for this purpose now, but if, Chinese, Russian, other countries started buying up land inside the United States, seeing it as a voluntarist state, buying up huge acres of land, especially here on the West Coast. Let's say they bring in military equipment. Granted, a lot of people, most people in the United States do have weapons, but an AR or a handgun's not going to do much against, an Su-34 jet or, a tank or something. And
Right.
we were just kind of talking on what would happen if, this is obviously extremely hypothetical and everything.
It's
but
one of those things, one of those conversations that
react?
tends to come up when libertarians are talking about their ideas with somebody who has some familiarity but not complete familiarity with the idea. So this is one of those questions that comes up. And first, I would point out, up till this point in history, if you want to take over a country, you've got to take over its capital. Not specifically the city, but the government buildings. Those people sort of have to concede in order to you being able to have a war of aggression, the conquering of another country. You don't see that happening very often. You'll see reactions to it. People really dislike it. So you have to understand that this is it's an activity that many people dislike, and it can't be done in a libertarian world the same way that it has been done up to this point. So to do it, somebody's going to have to come up with a whole new plan. And they have to either scare the populace into abiding by their rules, or they've got to take over each individual property by force and then disarm the populace and then turn it into a state. The problem with that is that I don't know if you're familiar with Americans, but the United States has been at war with somebody, whether it's the Indians or the Civil Wars, or you take all the years and there's very few of them in the United States not at war. So you're talking about a pretty martial people. They're not going to put up with some group of people coming in from the outside, especially a group of people that look different. The thing that humans hate the most is being ruled by some foreign power. You can see world history that they just don't take well to it. They'd much rather be ruled by some local power. And so if they in a libertarian world, I don't think you could successfully do it because it's just too decentralized.
Well, further, I mean, it would be a new thing, right, for what he's proposing to happen. The idea of a country, a government that wants to take over land by force, is willing to use force, but first wants to come in and buy property. I mean, what are the odds that that's going to happen?
Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, that's a good way to get a base. You need to get a localized base. I think that makes more sense than anything else.
They're going to come in, buy some property, clear some land, and then just start putting up a base, and nobody's going to say anything or notice.
How do you get the tanks there?
Well, so they're going to have to fly them in.
Yeah, you have to fly them in. Yeah.
Presumably. People are going to take notice that someone is building a base like that. Your typical war usually starts with an unexpected kind of thing, right? Like not where someone's slowly building up to have a castle or whatever nearby you or some sort of fort. They would maybe fly in and take over an existing airport or something like that with force, right? Just take. Oh, he dropped off the line. But anyway, maybe build it from scratch and let everybody know that this was going on. Sort of telegraph what was coming. You want to have the element of surprise when it comes to taking over somebody's property.
Buying an airport is probably significantly cheaper than planning an invasion. I mean, it would be a small bit of the invasion. So that makes some sense.
Yeah, so I just I question how that would begin in the first place. But as you were pointing out, Mark, the traditional way of winning a war is to surface-to-air missile defense system to be built by whatever companies or organizations would be willing to put their time and their effort into that. If there's a market demand for protection at that level, someone in the market's going to supply that. If the market demand for protection only goes so far as having patrol cars and driving around and protecting from little criminals, then that'll be what the market provides. But if people want protections from bombs falling from the sky, someone in the marketplace will come up with a solution, and they'll charge membership fees or whatever, and then whoever is paying for it, there will be people who benefit from it by sort of the free rider issue. But obviously, the people who want that protection would be willing to pay for large swaths of land to be protected.
Likely, the most wealthy people would be the ones that would want the military because they're the
companies
ones that have the right. Well, the most wealthy organizations would be the ones that would want the military because they're the ones that have the most to protect. I don't think China, by the way, is puffing at each other over some manufactured islands out in the South China Sea.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
No, that's about it.
Just huffing and puffing?
Yeah, well, at this point.
Okay.
I wouldn't, China's just shown that they have a new, what they call a carrier killer missile, which can reach, I think it's Mach 18 on the way down as it comes towards an aircraft carrier. Nothing can stop that.
Wow. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you know what? If it comes down to the question of what will happen, we don't know exactly what will happen. We speculated about a couple of things that could occur. What would it really look like? I don't know. We don't know what the marketplace would come up with for defense purposes. But I got to tell you, I'm not really worried about it. I'd much rather take my chances in a free marketplace with the chance of the Red Horde invading than have a government that absolutely is oppressing me today. The government today worries that people are suffering at the hands of the United States government and the state governments. We know they cause evil. We know they cause human suffering. And so I'd much rather get rid of that. Get rid of what we know is bad, and then have the question mark of what would things look like after that. I'd much rather take my chances. What about you?
I'm not looking for war in any circumstance. I'd like to avoid that if at all possible. But the problem is throughout
the state will tell you that you need to keep us. The state will say, but war could happen there, Mark. And this, and you've got the state that then uses the war as an excuse to crack down even further on freedoms at home. Just ask the Japanese and the Germans during World War II. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 pain relief hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paper 7 pain hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or
the air. All you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage.
Streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Got enough time for you if you want to join us here. You can bring up anything that's on your mind. It is the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. Joining you in studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM, so feel free to join us there. We're going to go to your Skype calls here in just a moment, but I also want to let you know about shop.freetalklive.com. That is a way for you to go and buy stuff online, like through Amazon. There's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, and Amazon US. You click into the right Amazon for you. Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. Very simple. You just start your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. There's actually an interesting story about Amazon that I have in my show prep. I don't know if we're going to get to it tonight, but about Jeff Bezos, or Bezos. I don't know how you pronounce it, Bezos. Anyway, the owner of Amazon also is now the owner of the Washington Post, and how he's reinventing that company and turning it from just a newspaper into kind of like a technology media company. And it's actually investing in the news business, which is interesting. And we'll look into, if we get the chance, we'll talk about some of the innovation that he's trying to bring into that old, dying newsprint world.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that. And you can join us here, 855-450-FREE. Plus, the Fraternal Order of Police has been hacked. If we get the chance, we'll tell you about that. And also the latest, there's not much to say, but the latest on the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge occupation that ostensibly continues today. But no one has heard from the occupiers in the last 24 hours. Let's go first, though, to Nathan. He's on the line via Skype. Nathan, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Thank you.
It's
you sound terrible.
It really echoes.
Yeah, it's not a real good. If you got a quick question, go ahead and throw it out. Otherwise, we're not on a real good connection here.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to. I have a big topic, so I'll call back later.
All right, thanks for the call tonight. Yeah, it might be better on another call back. Published just a few hours ago, so it's some of the freshest news from the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, where, as you know, if you've been paying attention to the news over the last month, on January 2nd, a number of occupiers, armed occupiers, went into this federal property and sort of took it over. There weren't any federal agents that were there at the time, no forest personnel or whatever. Apparently it had been shut down for the wintertime. But they took over this property and have been occupying it for the entire month here. They've been whittled down. The feds have, in the last week, picked off 11 people who were traveling outside of the refuge A few of them were going to some sort of meeting in a nearby town when the feds waylaid them and arrested several of them, including the purported leaders of the movement. So they've whittled it down, and people have left as well.
Killed one of them too.
Down to they shot and killed one man. But they've now gotten it down to 4 remaining occupiers: Jeff Banta, David Fry, Jones. Apparently, they're getting busy signals when the news media was trying to call them.
So it sounds like the government somehow got the cell phone companies to basically shut down communication to their phones.
It could very well be. I would say that's a fair speculation. The phone numbers were not working this morning when KOIN attempted to contact them. 3 of the 4 occupiers, as reported by OPB, which is Oregon Public Broadcasting, 3 of the 4 cannot make or receive phone calls. And David Fry, said that he told them that their access to the internet is gone. Quote, numbers for those 4 still at the refuge return a busy signal or say the person is not available. That's Jennifer Dowling, one of the reporters for KOIN. On Saturday, a recorded message from jailed militia leader Ammon Bundy to the remaining occupiers urging them to leave and go home was ignored. Sean Anderson said Saturday, quote, your husband and your brother-in-law and all your friends are in prison right now because they do what they want to do. I have to submit to people I don't believe or trust. You say Ammon is directed by God, so am I, unquote. And there's actually the most recent video on the Defend Your Base YouTube channel, which is where the gentleman, Mr. Fry, has been broadcasting. David Fry has been occasionally putting out these live streams, at least until 24 hours ago. He hasn't done one in the last 24 hours, but he had been doing multiple per day. The most recent video, which is now about 24 hours old, is relatively short. It's called Response to Ammon Bundy. It's about 3 minutes long. And to summarize it for you, it's basically them saying, yeah, we're not going to do what Ammon wants us to do. Ammon has asked through his attorney and through his wife for the occupiers to go home. He has claimed that it was never supposed to be about an armed standoff, which seems strange because it sure did seem that way from the very first get-go when they showed up with guns and occupied the property saying they weren't going to leave for years. It seemed like that was sort of hankering for an armed standoff to me, but Ammon is now saying that was never their original intention, or at least never his original intention. But the problem with public movements is that once you start something, you never get to decide what nutcase shows up. And so if it's
That's
true...
what Jason Sorens is thinking about you.
Is that right?
I'm just kidding.
Do you mean the #1 recruiter for the Free State Project?
That's right.
So anyway, the occupiers showed up at this place, and if it really was their intention to not have an armed standoff with the federal government that could end in bloodshed, then they probably shouldn't have showed up with guns, I'm thinking. Because seems like that's sort of the inevitable outcome of
the guns
what
kind of
they
made
did.
the difference with the last one, though, right? I mean, with the Bundy Ranch standoff, there's all the pictures.
That was private property. It wasn't the same kind of thing. It was more like defending their private property, and they were in a dispute with the feds over the public land that surrounded the private property.
But they were successful. They wanted to replicate their success. Part of their success, maybe they thought, was, armed revolution, essentially. So you can see why they would have chosen to do that.
No, I understand what they're doing. I get where they're coming from, but I think it's disingenuous for Ammon Bundy to say, and of course now he's in jail, so he's trying to avoid further criminal charges or whatever as being a ringleader of this group. But ultimately, I don't believe the claim that this wasn't about an armed standoff with the federal government. They were agitating for that from the very beginning. So nonetheless, the response from the current occupiers is that, yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're standing strong together here till the very end. They're going to continue on as long as they have food. And as we learned last night from someone who visited them a few weeks ago, they may have plenty of food on hand. Back to the story from KOIN.com. A day after a rolling protest through the streets of Burns over the death of a militia spokesperson, Lavoy Finicum, and a day before the expected militia rally in front of the Harney County Courthouse by the extremist group 3% of Idaho, some people arrived at the roadblocks in support of the remaining occupiers. And, of course, it was in protest of some ranchers who had set some fires to their lands nearby the federal government's lands. Fires spread to the federal lands, and now those guys are in prison for 5 years. That's why these people went originally, ostensibly, to this location, the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge, and occupied the property. So right now, we really don't know what's going on because it seems like their internet access has been shut off.
Why be held hostage by your wireless carrier for 2 years? What if you had no contract, no activation fees, no hidden costs, tracking, tracing, harvesting customer data, or draconian gimmicks, all on the nation's best 4G LTE network? Introducing Pix Wireless. Bring your phone and other qualifying devices to Pix and choose a plan starting at only $14 a month. Get connected now. Call or click 1-866-267-2056 or PixWireless.com. Spelled P-I-X, wireless.com. Pick Pix and get connected today.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you all about the newest and best way to sell your products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, a brand new site to sell your stuff online. Your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the other guys. Buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge you item fees. Go to the website now and sign up so that you can soon load all your stuff up to sell. This is not an auction site. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to user-friendly buysellmakeoffer.com, where the first 30 days are on us.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself.
To join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Here's a chance to do a little act. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
World's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition. You can dial in toll-free right here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, and with you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. First up, David, listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hey, howdy.
Hey.
Hey, I was interested in hazmat and Flint, but just a side comment on Burns. Did I hear you say that they cut off the cell towers? Or
at the very least, they appear to have cut the access of the individuals. I don't think they took down the cell towers themselves because that would hurt the Fed's ability to communicate. It makes more sense that they would have contacted the cell phone companies and said, hey, shut these guys' phones off.
You've got the names of the 4 people, shut down their phones.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, something like that. And that area has very little going on. Most of it's FM. I'm not even sure if there's a single AM station up in that area. So it's Yeah, if somebody had a BlackBerry, that's about the only way to check on it. But yeah, if they're cutting off cell communication, that sounds like it's getting close.
Yeah, it does sound like they're preparing to do something, right? They are shutting off communications. This has been the one way that people on the outside have really known what was going on, because the media's not there. The mainstream media was told to leave by the FBI, and they hightailed it out of there. So up until 24 hours ago, it was on his cell phone. So the fact that we haven't seen any video seems to corroborate the allegations that the feds may have put the kibosh on any kind of data transmission coming out of the National Wildlife Refuge.
Sure, yeah. Hey, and by the way, did you just say Mark's there?
Here
Mark's
I am.
Right here.
Hey, well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, let's see, and by the way, good luck with the ad sales, because I used to do that. That's terrible business. Tough as nails.
Well, every ad's worth something. We just have to find the equilibrium, right?
Oh, that's it. I'll tell you, waiting for that, that cheesecake one that'll feed you for the rest of your life. I was interested in the hazmat issue. The more I'm paying attention to Flint, the more, people are exposing some of these similar issues around the country. Somebody sent me a Facebook post about the Hopi Indians, and there was a photograph of this reservoir that was just as funky as you could imagine. And I remember down in the Four Corners area, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, the Peabody Coal Company had just poisoned that area in an incredible way. And because it's Native American land, it's as if this coal company, not only were they not paying them their royalties, but they were then not cleaning up their mess and poisoning their water. And if I remember right, that same thing is going on where they're digging up the XL pipeline slurry up in northern Canada. They've just about given something like 70% of that population have been coming down with cancer.
Is this one of those things where these are companies that have agreements with the federal government where the government will protect them from liability for their actions, sort of like with the BP oil spill, if you recall that? The federal government protected BP from a maximum of, I think it was $75 million worth that they had to put towards the cleanup, so ultimately taxpayers footed the bill. Is this something where it's sort of like with vaccines, they're prohibited from being sued by anyone?
I think each case is probably individual, talking about Canada versus Native American land.
Because if someone poisons your land, you should be able to sue those people.
Absolutely.
If you can prove that that someone has polluted, whether it's an individual or a corporation or a government, there should be liability there. Unfortunately, when the government does it, there's usually no liability for them. They can do whatever they want. They can poison as many people as they want, and there's no way to hold them accountable except in the media. With the corporations, you've got more realm, more standing to file a suit, unless the government has come in and specifically protected those corporations from liability. So that's why I was saying, if these Indians or whoever it is that's been poisoned are not suing, then maybe that's the reason why, is because they haven't been successful because the government's protecting those companies. That's just speculation on my part. I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with the cases you're bringing up.
Sure. Well, as a matter of fact, in St. Louis, there's a place called Earth City, and then right near it, I'm trying to think of the name of that landfill. It's something like Northside Landfill or another, and they that one was radioactive waste that came from the Vietnam War. And so they were basically, what's even uglier about that, if you look on a map, this is just in between, just outside of St. Charles, Missouri, and if you know about the geology of it, Earth City is actually in the ancient floodplain of the Missouri River. It used to cut down a much sharper angle right there and go down and meet with the Mississippi River way down a whole different angle. And so in these recent floods, it's actually become subject to saturation. And when this water gets down, what's going on in St. Louis is they dumped this radioactive hazardous waste from the Vietnam War.
What nuclear hazardous waste would happen in the Vietnam War? I mean, it's not like they employed nuclear weapons.
Oh, they did. I mean, there's all sorts of the weaponry they used in Vietnam was not just bullets. They did some incredible stuff, and you could ask around Vietnam vets, and they'll give you some stories.
Is there anything you can find out about it on the internet?
Sure.
Okay.
And development of, but at McDonnell Douglas and up near the airport, there were a bunch of.
So you're gonna have to cut the story short. The story short.
Yeah, that's great.
The story short here. So you're saying who did what with the nuclear waste from Vietnam?
Well, what they did was they had two quarries side by side, and there was a big wall in between them. Basically the bedrock in between them. They dumped the hazardous waste, the radioactive stuff in one, and they dumped regular raw trash in another. And the raw trash has been burning it's an underground fire. It's all covered over, and so it's been smoldering for decades. And the more it gets saturated with water, the water is actually feeding oxygen into it. And so the recent floods has actually fed more oxygen into it, and it's getting now close to that barrier wall. And this fire, they're expecting it to burn through, and then once it reaches the radioactive wastes, that's going to be one nasty mess, because then you have radioactive smoke. And,
what does one look up if one wants to learn more about this? So it's St. Louis?
St. Charles?
I would, it's basically St. Charles, St. Louis,
Charles.
and good grief, nuclear hot seat.
Nuclear hot seat, St. Louis. Interesting claims, David. Thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Wouldn't want to have a house nearby that.
No, I don't.
855-450-3733. So you can join us here, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind.
And remember, the government's the best organization to handle land management.
You're joking.
Well, I mean, this is the funny thing about this whole, Oregon thing going out there is that, the assumption, if you want everybody to go in, if you want all these ranchers to go home and stop misbehaving, is that the government is a good steward of the land. And the fact is that they're terrible.
Steward?
What'd I say?
I think you said Stewart, which is a man's name.
Okay.
Yes, they're not very good at taking care of things because they don't really have any liability. There's also no payoff for the government as well. So when you own a piece of property, you have the incentive to take good care of it because you might want to pass it down to your children. You might want to turn it around and sell it someday.
You want to do something with it, and it always involves keeping the property up.
A polluted piece of property is not going to be worth as much as a nicely kept piece of property, and so it's in your best interest to keep things in good shape. Dr. Mary Ruwart does a good job of explaining in her book, Healing Our World, which is excellent, by the way. You can get it through Amazon at shop.freetalklive.com. She talks about how it is that it's the government that has actually been the greatest polluter, more so than like the top four. I believe the top four corporate polluters combined. U.S. military, for instance, is a tremendous polluter, and in a lot of cases, government will, with a lot of its government land, and of course a lot of it's out west. I mean, this is what 2/3 of the West or something is federally owned. They'll rent out the land to corporations who will then come in and do things that are unsustainable, like clear cutting, because those corporations don't own that property. Free Talk Live.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885.
That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited in these remaining moments to connect with us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype as well. Skype on in here at username LRN.FM. You do have to send a contact request first. And once you do that, Free Talk Live, we'll get a request, we'll approve it, and you'll be good to go to call us from that point forward. The latest from deep.web.com. Great website that follows the dark web. This is like the news site for the dark web. It's one of my favorite sites on the internet because they follow along like all the drama and the things that are going on, the websites that get taken down by the feds, the underground marketplaces, who's robbing who, and what sort of dirty deeds are going on.
The dark web is such a strange place.
Yeah.
It's just too crazy for me.
Fascinating stuff. The Fraternal Order of Police was recently hacked, according to Deep.web, and a portion, 2.5 gigabytes, of the total claimed 18 terabytes of data has now been released online by Cthulhu, who has been known to host hacked data. Of this particular host, there is a note, or on this particular host, there is a note for law enforcement that says, quote, "Don't bother with legal threats or trying to get UK law enforcement to seek revenge. This is me playing nice. If you want to go nuclear with me, feel free to do so. But trust me when I say you might want to think long and hard before you do. I'm not known for bluffing, and I know many more of your secrets. About 18 terabytes in all, actually. All unpublished yet. I dare you. I double dare you, mother effer."
Wow.
So that's the message to the police from whoever it is that is either posting.
And so what is on this leaked data?
The 2.5 gigabytes that has been revealed so far. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. But first, let's go to Scott, listening in South Carolina to WTMA in Charleston. Hello, Scott.
Oh, hello, gentlemen, and welcome back, Mark. Yin and Yang are back together. The balance is nature's restored.
All right, go ahead.
There was a caller earlier had some ideas for the show getting publicity, and I have two ideas.
Okay.
Mark, I think you should audition for Celebrity Apprentice.
Really?
With Donald Trump?
Yeah, well, Schwarzenegger now, but maybe
what?
Trump will be back. Who knows?
Okay. See, I don't know anything about television. I thought that was Donald Trump's show. Is it that Donald Trump
he's kicked off now.
runs the show and has now hired Arnold Schwarzenegger to take his place, or who? What's the deal there?
I think NBC did that.
Okay.
NBC cut ties with
I think Trump owns a piece of it, but NBC runs it.
Okay,
and they
got it.
hired Schwarzenegger for the new season. And the
You're
second
fired.
idea is for you.
It's good.
The second idea is for you two to audition for The Amazing Race.
What's that? Another reality show?
Yeah.
You think I want to rely on Ian in any kind of race?
Well, that would
I could
be
probably
part
run
of the drama,
faster than
and
you.
That's why people
That's a
would
bet.
Tune in. People would tune in.
Mark,
Or
how
how
much do
about
you weigh again?
Celebrity Big Brother?
I'm just a little over 2.
Yeah. So, what is The Amazing Race?
Want to get beat by a fat
Is it
guy?
like Cannonball Run, where you're driving around, or what is it?
They put you in they put you in different places around the world, and why? And you've got to take different modes of transportation and find clues and.
I wouldn't get very far with my world passport, I don't think.
Well, I'm sure you'd have to get one to do this, a regular passport. But the problem is under stress, I begin to yell. And Ian can only handle so much of that before he'd be like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Is it a team thing, this Amazing Race?
Yeah, it is.
I see. So I wouldn't be competing against you. We would be on the same team, would be the idea?
Right, this is like it's a team thing.
Gotcha.
Synergy, guys.
Well, thanks for the idea. You know what actually happened recently is one of our other co-hosts, Daryl W. Perry, and actually Conan, was sent some sort of invitation by a reality television producer. Oh, God, Daryl, what was the show name? What was it? Hunted. A show called Hunted, which is a UK-based reality show that I think they're going to make a US version of, and I watched a little bit of it online just to see what it was about. The idea is that they have a group of people and they're turned loose to go run away from these hunters who are essentially like technology experts and like people who can track you, basically. And the idea is who can run the longest, who of these different 14 different people can stay away from the hunters for the longest period of time. And I guess whoever that is the winner of this particular reality show. It's supposedly a show that asks questions about the nature of the surveillance state that we find ourselves in. And I know Daryl responded that he didn't have time. He didn't want to walk away from his newscast because you'd have to dedicate, like, you're on the run. You don't have your phone and they're going to track you, right? So you've got to sort of be on the run for a month's time or something like that. So Daryl said no to that. But Mark, maybe that would be an opportunity for you. Maybe you could be on the Hunted.
Sounds like a blast. I don't know what.
One last question, if I could.
Yes, sir.
As speaking of Trump, has anybody purchased any ad time for the political season on your show?
No. Generally the presidential candidates just we get passed over for whatever reason.
Maybe it's because we don't like them.
Mostly they do their buys on a local level. And Free Talk Live's a national show.
You don't think they're buying like Rush Limbaugh or anybody like that?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that they would spend as much on Free Talk Live as they would on a local radio station and get another 160 stations to boot.
Hey, thanks, Scott, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. I guess the question some of our listeners might ask about that, Mark, is would Free Talk Live take Donald Trump's money to play those stupid ads? Have you ever heard those ads?
Yes, I've
heard
them.
My God. They make me feel dumber after I've heard the ad.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just so they appeal to the lowest of the low common denominator, these ads. We're going to build a border wall and we'll force Mexico to pay for it. And then that's like not even the dumbest thing that they say in the ads. I wish I could pull one up right now so we could pick it apart, but they're just absolutely awful. Would Free Talk Live accept Donald Trump's money for advertising?
Well, Free Talk Live is on the air right now. Would you accept Donald Trump's money?
You know what? I think I probably would.
Yeah,
it's just a recorded ad. It's not like we're endorsing whatever it is that he's saying, and then we can use that money to lobby against him.
My thought process is that when you hear it, since we don't have total control of the ads that play during our show, we have during
the breaks.
Yeah, we have 3 minutes out of every 15 minutes that's during the hour. that I'm not responsible for the ads that play during the show.
We don't even know what they all are.
I'm only responsible for the ads that I voice.
That's right.
And so I check harder when somebody, if somebody needs an ad produced by me or whatever, there's an entirely different threshold for me than if they just want to buy an ad. I mean, to me it's just informational. We sell a slot and you put your ad in it.
Back to the story about the Fraternal Order of Police website being hacked, or their servers being hacked, apparently, because they've got a lot of data here. Allegedly 18 terabytes, 2.5 gigs has been released. And in a blog post discussing the details relating to the release of the data was apparently given to Cthulhu by someone who wishes to remain anonymous. So Cthulhu is the one who's, saying, hey, don't mess with me, I'll release more of your data. But he's not the one who apparently did the hack. Regarding the purpose of releasing the data, he says, quote, "We do not wish to dictate to the media how the information may be used or useful. I was told it should be released on the grounds of the information is within the scope of public interest in light of an ever-increasing divide between the police groups and the citizens of the U.S. As such, we do not wish to guide the media in how to report on this. My role in this is to ensure the information is accessible to all so that a proper analysis may be done by both established media outlets and individual investigators who wish to expose wrongdoing." The Fraternal Order of Police website claims to be the world's largest organization of sworn law enforcement officers with more than 325,000 members and 2,100 lodges. However, their site has been taken down, according to a post on Facebook that says, quote, "They have, however, breached all of our records, and therefore we have shut down access to the entire site." Throughout the aftermath of the hack, the FOP has made several statements, such as, quote, "Our data system has been hacked by the group known as Anonymous, and they were able to feed our system a pseudo-encryption key that the system should not have accepted, but did because of software errors," which is entirely false, according to a blog post titled, quote, "The Fraternal Order Police are full of S," unquote, in which Cthulhu posted to clear up statements that he says were false, made by the Fraternal Order of Police. According to a discussion on Hacker News, FOP had a servlet running as root, which was vulnerable to command injection, and to top it off, they accepted credit card data over HTTP, which violates the PCI DSS. Let me translate that.
They've got a crappy security system on their website.
They were accepting credit card data insecurely, meaning HTTP.
Bad.
When you see in the browser URL area of your browser and it says HTTP, that means you are not secure. If it says HTTPS, that stands for there's security involved there. So the police were accepting credit card information on their website with zero security around the transmission of it. So anyone sitting at a Wi-Fi shop sniffing out packets would have been able to get all your credit card info. Way to go, coppers. All right, so anyway, 2.5 gigabytes of data. Have fun digging through that. It's Free Talk Live. See you tomorrow.
Free Talk Live.
No, I just want to reiterate on what you said, and I feel you what you said about the junkie. I mean, I'm with you 100% because I had an ex-girlfriend that was like out there, and it took me a while to even find out that she was a cocaine addict. And I'm talking about I come home to all the electronics gone, and nobody broke in the house. A key was used. What happened was I was trying to be a gentleman, a good boyfriend. I got out of work. She said my car needed cleaning, it was dirty, and I ended up going in her trunk, cleaning out her trunk because that's where I kept the tie shine in. It's the exact same receipt from the pawn shop that the stuff that was missing, item for item.
Busted. Wow.
They had been to the pawn shop.
What happened when you confronted her?
She packed her stuff and said she's leaving because I don't trust her. So she gonna say she needs to leave.
Right, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my
You're
fault.
the bad guy.
I thought I found the receipt in the trunk, right?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternate. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented
world. This is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 31st, 2016. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,118 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $382. Antiwar.com reports a negotiation team from the Kurdish PYD, the political wing of the powerful YPG militia, departed Switzerland on Saturday after being told they would not be allowed to participate in the UN peace talks on Syria, which began on Friday. Though they are one of the largest factions in the Syrian civil war and hold almost the entire Hasaka province, the PYD/YPG were not invited to the talks on the demand of Turkey, who insists that they are terrorists. Both Russia and the United States had sought their inclusion, with Russia suggesting they might be able to participate later even if they don't get in on the first day. PYD co-president Salah Muslim was among the delegations sent to Geneva, and while the group was carefully sequestered from the pro-Saudi Higher Negotiations Committee, it was hoped they might find a spot at the table given how few factions managed to show up in the first place. Turkey's refusal to allow any Kurds at the talks, along with resistance from other rebel factions who insist the Kurds focus on fighting the Islamic State, means they aren't proper rebels, ultimately kept them out of the talks, which means the first round will be between the Syrian government and a coalition representing a handful of mostly trivial rebel factions. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an profit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports attorneys for the Chicago police officer accused in the shooting death of a 17-year-old are asking for the trial to be moved to a different location. Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke's attorney, Daniel Herbert, said his client is receiving death threats as well as threats to his family after his charge was announced in the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald. Herbert said it may be impossible to successfully assemble an unbiased jury after Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel publicly condemned the officer. According to USA Today, Herbert said, "We think that at the end of the day we're going to present some very compelling evidence to demonstrate that it's impossible for my client to get a fair trial in this case." The victim's great-uncle, Reverend Martin Hunter, and other activists reportedly worry that Van Dyke would manage to easily be cleared of the charges if the trial took place and could cast dashcam footage of the October 2014 shooting of McDonald, who was shot 16 times. Van Dyke has pled not guilty to first-degree murder. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for Reuters reports the FBI negotiated further with 4 occupants at a remote federal wildlife refuge in Oregon on Saturday, while the holdouts in a video posted online expressed their mistrust of the government and reluctance to leave. One of the 4 protesters remaining at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge said in a darkly lit video posted on Friday that he wanted to be assured that he would not be arrested if he attempted to leave. Others with him expressed similar resolve. Tensions in the standoff remained high 4 days after Robert Lavoie Finicum, a spokesman for the group that seized buildings at the refuge on January 7th, declining to give details on the talks or comment on the video showing Finicum's death. Bundy has issued messages through his attorney urging those remaining at the refuge to stand down and saying that he would continue the fight through the courts. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Now that multiple Thomas E. Dewey High School sources have confirmed that junior Jessica Milley will soon begin putting out, with many speculating that she'll go all the way with her boyfriend Josh Gibson as early as this Friday, Milley's classmates have been quick to weigh in on the news.
Jessica was sitting at this table when she told Erica that she was finally going to do Josh.
Jessica's pretty hot, so I'm happy with her decision.
I was pretty certain the next girl to start putting out would be Amy Courtley because everybody knows her mom's a slut.
While the majority of students were somewhat surprised that Jessica might give it up at Andy Wheeler's house party this Friday, possibly on one of Wheeler's 2 basement couches, Milley's intentions didn't come as a shock to some. Now that the
Hello, good Sunday evening. This is Will Coley, and we